It started the night after a party. Sarah and I had friends over, and when everyone left, we went to bed. I thought I saw her watching me sleep, but I shrugged it off. An hour later, I checked again. She was asleep. As I was up, my stomach started grumbling, so feeling hungry, I went downstairs for dinner. But from the corner of the stairs, I saw her, standing, smiling, and just staring. "Sarah?" I asked. I was shaking, and she didn't respond. When I blinked a couple of times, trying to rub the sleep out of my eyes, she had vanished. I went to check upstairs, and there she was in bed, still asleep. I told myself it was my imagination. But here's the thing. When I was brushing my teeth, I heard knocking. I blurted her name out. "Sarah?" There was no answer, and when I went to open the door, there was no one there. After some back and forth thinking, I decided to go back to bed. I was feeling uneasy, but I told myself it was nothing. The next morning, I started to question Sarah. I asked her about last night, and that's when she looked at me really confused. Her response was, "I don't remember leaving the bed." To say we were both confused was an understatement. I left for work, trying to forget it. But when I looked up from my car, I froze. Sarah was outside, holding a SpongeBob teddy, and she was grinning. She didn't know I worked there. She had never liked SpongeBob either. I decided to call her, and I asked her where she was. Her reply was that she was at home. And then when I looked back up again, both her and the teddy disappeared. This made me question my sanity, but I proceeded into my office anyway. At work, I received a call from a number I didn't recognize. When I picked it up, all I could hear was whispering. "I love SpongeBob." My blood ran cold. I started looking around at the windows, but I couldn't see her anywhere. When I finished work, I began my travel back home, and the first thing that I saw before I even got out the car was the front door was open. I entered slowly and went into the living room, and that's when I saw Sarah watching TV. I asked her if she left the house, and she just looked at me really confused, saying no. That evening, at about 2 a.m., I started to hear laughter. This naturally woke me up, and then when I started looking around, I saw her standing in the doorway again, grinning, holding that same SpongeBob teddy. I screamed, and then she vanished. I got up to have a look around to see what was going on. I couldn't find anything. But that's when I noticed a note on the table, and it was written in messy letters. It said,
I am the teddy. I possess your girlfriend.
Feeling the chills run down the back of my spine, I didn't sleep. I left the next morning and booked a hotel for 2 nights. I was hoping that distance might stop whatever this was, but the calls continued to come. One call had the following whisper: "I will never leave you." I returned home, and once again the front door was wide open. This time, however, it looked dark. It was silent, and upstairs, under my bed, that's where I saw her. She was smiling and holding that teddy, and there was blood trickling down from her mouth. I ran and I called the police immediately. When they arrived on scene to investigate, they found that no one was there. This entire ordeal was weird. Most importantly, I don't know where my girlfriend ever got to. I tried searching for her everywhere. I tried to put some distance away from this house again, and a few months passed while I moved to a new house, when I was thinking that it was finally over. But one night, I heard footsteps. The teddy had appeared at the bottom of the stairs. The phone rang, and then I heard the same whisper: "I never left you." When I turned on the light, there she was, Sarah, standing in the corner with pale black eyes, and she was grinning. But something was wrong. One half of her body flickered. It was like static on a broken TV. She tilted her head, holding the teddy, and that's when I realized the horrifying truth. This thing that had been watching me was mimicking Sarah, learning about Sarah, and even managed to reshape herself as Sarah. I ran outside, and I decided to call the police. When they arrived, they once again did another search, and just like in the previous home, this one was also empty. There was no sign of her. However, the teddy, it was on the front porch, smiling. Many weeks had passed since that incident, and those weeks gradually turned to months. For a while, I started to think that maybe my turmoil is actually over. I never saw her ever again. But sometimes, late at night, I do catch a glimpse of her in the corner of my eye, and the teddy is always there. If you are based in the UK and would like to enjoy freshly batch roasted coffee delivered to your door, visit vitalcoffee.co.uk and use the coupon code mrfreakystory to get 10% off from all products. I will leave a link in the description below.